Hi everyone, welcome to the Same Kit Different Day podcast. I'm Doug Mealy, your host, and I've got the CEO of PPSS Group here today, Robert Kaiser. Robert, how are you?
I'm all right. Thank you for calling. I really appreciate this.
Oh, you're welcome. So, Robert, if you could tell, we met some years ago now when you had the Lone Worker Safety Conference, and I used to attend, and then you were good enough to get me along as a speaker, which, to be honest, it's springboarded my career a bit. So, thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. It must be like 7, 8, 9 years ago or thereabout.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, good few years ago now. So, for the benefit of our listeners, could you tell us a little bit about how you ended up with PPSS Group and sort of a little bit of a CV as to sort of where you started and where you are now?
Yeah, I came over in 1990. I came to the UK in 1999. I worked for the German government before. Came over here in 1999. Set up a private security company at the reasonably early stages. Initial for the first 3.5, 4 years, we are purely doing consultancy work for women's aid, rape crisis centers, domestic violence projects, and overseas organizations to deal with this kind of subject matter. And we helped women to recover passports, birth certificates, access to bank accounts to enable them to start again.
Brilliant.
Then I continued with the security industry for a while, and ultimately there was a major incident where someone got shot and got killed, and it was for me a bit of a wake-up call to say time is enough, time has come to pack it in. And more or less 11 years ago or thereabouts, we set up what is known now as PPSS Group.
And PPSS Group are specialists. Well, do you want to tell us a bit about what PPSS do? I obviously know them as supplying amazing protective equipment.
Yeah, well, what we have specialized ourselves in really is in anything that has to do with the protection, primarily really from edge weapon, and that means really anything from razor blades to any kind of blades, knives, machetes, axes, whatever that may be. And we talk about stab-resistant vests, slash-resistant clothing, but we sort of moved away completely from the ballistic vest and bulletproof vest purely because we could clearly identify a real shift in operational risks and threats in Europe in terms of terrorism. It's easier for them to organize and sell and buy knives than importing, exporting, selling, transporting, whatever firearms. It's a nightmare for them. They would probably get picked up by some sort of intelligence agency or law enforcement way before they commit any kind of major assault. So we know now that law enforcement or any homeland security agency in Europe have got way more problems now dealing with people carrying knives. And hence we sort of specialized ourselves in the field. And now we're supplying countless of homeland security agencies around the world, private security sectors, COVID operatives, surveillance teams, counterterrorism officers, etc., etc.
Brilliant, excellent. Now, just before we move on to talk about the stab vest, one of the things that amazed me when I met you was about the ballistic testing. Now, I know you test all of your own products, but you tested your own bulletproof vests back in the day, didn't you?
Yeah, it must be like 7, 8 years ago thereabouts when I think there's so many companies around the world who can talk as much as they want. But I always believe there's a difference from being a man point of view, never mind as a human being. There's a difference between talking the talk and walking the walk. So when we designed what at that time was the thinnest or lightest bulletproof vest on the planet, people looked at it and thought, that can't be for real. And I thought, okay, the moment I feel like anybody's questioning our integrity or the quality, whatever we say, I said, okay, let's talk the talk again. And then ultimately I got shot by a Glock 17 with a 9mm firing, a 9mm parabellum round flying at 420 meters a second from 10 feet distance. And the rest is history, actually, you know what I mean?
You say it so casually. Which country did you have to do that in?
Well, we couldn't do it in the UK because obviously health and safety is a bit of an issue here, I guess. So most of the videos we produce, we go overseas. And it can vary. I think when I got shot, we did it in Sweden, so in Scandinavia. We just had a bit more, I don't know, it was a bit more easy to do it there. So, yeah, most of the videos we do or we produce, we prefer to do it outside the UK, I mean.
Brilliant. And the person shooting you, you gave them strict instructions as to where to shoot, sort of. So if something did go wrong, it was between the organs. Is that right?
Well, there was two things. Well, first of all, in the video that is obviously been viewed by millions of times, I think the key was there's a lady coming into the screen, and she was in charge of blunt force trauma injuries of the armed forces in Sweden, and she made it up to compulsory that I had to be, had an ID in my wrist already just in case there is any issue. And because for extensive medical advice, we all be told if there is one preferred area, if at all, then it will be about 1 inch away from the navel. And the reason is because every human being will carry the highest level of body fat most likely around that area, but also there's no organ behind it. So if there is any kind of blunt force trauma injury, there would be no liver or no kidney that could burst and subsequently lead to internal injuries, shock, death, etc., etc. I mean,
wow. So it's and I have to ask you this. It still hurt though, didn't it? I've seen your expression on the video, and you managed to get those words out, but it must have hurt like hell.
Well, yeah, man. I still got the scar, so it's not scar from the wrong going through. It was just more a scar because the material we were using was ultimately, let's go in simple terms, a high performance plastic. So actually, the energy absorption of the bullet turning to a mushroom, kinetic energy, was created such a heat that the body, in a way, the plastic ultimately melted to a reasonable level and actually connected to my skin, to the nerves and to the screen. Actually, sort of pulled the body armor away from my skin. Hence, I've still got the scar. But I mean, the pain clearly was severe. Anyway, there's nothing I would never deny it. But I always say, like, in a real scenario, if there would be a real incident and somebody would open fire, I think the adrenaline would allow me within 3, 4, 5 seconds to return fire. And that's the key, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and it's not just the ballistic products that have saved lives. Your kit have saved lives all over the world, haven't they?
Well, absolutely. There's no question about that. I mean, we probably, I don't know, it's difficult to quantify it, but probably once a week we get some sort of a thank you message or a letter or testimonial reference from somewhere around the world. It could literally be, a Homeland Security agency. It could literally be a private security guard. It could be anyone really, a prison officer, a police officer. Then where they tell us a story that body armor has saved a life. We have received a letter from the wife of an operator, saying, "Listen, your body armor has saved my husband's life." But they're the things that sort of drive us. Clearly, we have to make money. There's no question about it. We have to make money. We have to pay the bills, and we are all money driven. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think the difference between our business and others, I do think that my employees and our directors, we all are, I would say, generally good human beings in terms of our intention generally is to save lives. No question about it. And the money most of the time becomes secondary, I guess.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's testimony how many years you've been around and the reputation you've achieved. We could all, I supply soft restraint equipment products, and the same as you, we could source our equipment very cheaply. We could get very cheap labour, and we could make a lot of money in a short amount of time. But then, if people are contacting us saying they've gone wrong or they're not happy with the product, it's worthless, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's more to life. There's more to life than making money. As I said a minute ago, there's nothing wrong with making money. There's nothing wrong with paying a mortgage. There's nothing wrong with driving a nice car and going on holiday a few times a year. There's nothing wrong with any of that. The question is always, how do you make that money? Now, if you make that money by doing people over or supplying them an inferior product, or if you make claims that actually are incorrect, morally, legally, whatever it is, then it's wrong. But if you make money by being good at what you do, then kudos. Why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So for our listeners, I wonder if you could tell us a bit about the PPE in general and the legalities around it, and sort of why should people invest in it? Because you've got some places that don't invest in PPE, and you've got others that do.
Yeah, I'm not a legal expert. I can't go into giving legal advice. But for us, For us, it's always like the way we see what we do is very simple in terms of now, from the legal point of view, as far as I would like to go, is if you've identified a risk, clearly you have to do something about it. That's as simple as it gets. You can't say that if a doorman goes to security to his managing director of a security company saying, "Hang on, I'm worried I might get stabbed," the managing director says, "Well, I don't care," then there is a legal issue. The same is in the prison environment as a police officer. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're an officer, an operative, or whatever you are, a guard, you tell your superior that you feel a danger, your life is at risk, or you face any kind of violence, and you express yourself towards your superior and they don't do anything about it, there's a real legal issue. So, and ultimately, that's where PPE comes in. If a risk has been identified, it needs mitigating. And I'm not saying body armor is always the number one solution. Of course, I'm not saying that. As much as I would like to say it, I would never go there, because clearly conflict management is important. I mean, now, good communication is important. Avoiding the risk is important. Withdrawing yourself can be an option. But sometimes, and in many, many cases, that's not an option. You can't be a police officer and not enforce the law. You can't be a doorman and let anyone walk past you. It just doesn't work like that. So sometimes you have to stand up and make a stand and deal with whatever violence society throws at you. Now, if that happens, then clearly it's a no-brainer that those who've chosen or been issued with PPE have got a higher chance of survival. And that is what it's all about. But to go beyond it, I always say to our, even if I don't deal with the sales part of a business as such, but I always used to say to our international clients, listen, it depends how much you really cherish and appreciate the life of your employees. If you don't care, then don't give them PPE. If you don't care, don't give them body armor. If you actually care about the health and safety of your staff, because you like them, because you feel you want to express some loyalty towards them, because they've been good to you, it doesn't matter what it is, well then clearly any kind of PPE, it's a good thing. It's a no-brainer. It's a good thing. You're doing something good. You're increasing their chance of coming home safely to their wife and kids. That clearly, that's a great incentive to look into it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I get what you're saying about it showing that an employer cares about their employees. The other thing I'd say is it's kind of like because there's a lot of dangerous jobs out there. Let's say walking a tightrope or climbing a mountain with a safety harness.
Yeah.
Part of the confidence you've got of doing that activity is because you know that safety harness is there. Now, I'm not saying it should be a false sense of security, but it might make people act more confidently in their jobs if they know, look, worst case scenario, if something does go wrong, at least I've got this protection against the residual risk, haven't I?
Yeah, but I think the way I see it, you can see the glass half full is empty sometimes, and I'm very honest about this too. I do believe when we deal with supplying body armor to our international clients, I always say to them, listen, there are two breeds of human beings. Now, one of them is you give them body armor and they're like, what the hell is going on? Why am I giving a body armor? What does my employer know that I don't know? Is he planning to throw me into an environment I know I'm not going to feel comfortable about? Have they any kind of access to any kind of intelligence that they're not sharing with me? So they're the kind of more paranoid category. But then you've got the other category also who think, they get body armor and they feel like they're James Bond and Rambo one person and they can take on the world. So for me, it's always crucial that anyone issuing body armor, never mind us producing them, but anyone issuing body armor to the workforce, it has to come, in my opinion, always with training. Because you don't know what category that person you're facing is dealing with, what category they belong to. You need to tell them why you give them the body armor. If you don't do it, you leave it up to their imagination, you will not get the best out of the performance. That's for sure.
No, I completely agree with that. So one of the things I was really impressed with was the range of slash-proof gear that you've got.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen that you've got a slash-proof that goes up around the neck. Was there any particular reason or any examples of where people have been attacked before that made you get involved with doing that slash protection around the throat?
But obviously, most of the things we do is always based on, is also what we call intelligence-led in a way. But we don't design garments purely because they look sexy or cool, whatever. It's not really what we do, I think. There are probably other companies who prefer to design garments based on, looks like streetwear, it's cool. It's not really our market. Our market is more like operational need-driven rather than what looks cool. So because our client base is literally all over the world, so we've got a lot of now inquiries from Israel, for example, where Palestinian terrorists, for example, literally sometimes we talk about women in the 60s or 70s, so we don't talk about street crime here. No, I know walking towards an Israeli police officer or walking towards Israeli soldier, for example, and at the very, very last second, now pulling a machete or Stanley knife or kitchen knife out and attacking the soldier's throat. So it's the same in prison environment. I mean, there's always a throat is always clear because of the main artery, key artery being based in your neck. I think the consequences, if you are getting attacked there, the chance of that being literally your last moment is reasonably high, isn't it? So that's one thing you have to protect everything around your body, but I think the throat, in my opinion, is something. Yeah, I think one second, it's quite important, but I also think that the worst case scenario, is quite severe, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I agree completely with that. So, with the current lockdown situation, how's your business managing? Is it business as usual for you a lot? Have sales gone up or down?
I think of a recent, it again varies from country to country. In the UK, we can clearly see over the last few weeks that I think we expected a major downturn in sales in the UK. But having said that, within the security industry, I don't think a lot has changed because ultimately there's literally chemists now having security. Supermarkets have got security on, etc., etc. So I think a lot of security companies actually have grown and expanded during the time. It doesn't mean for every security company is the same, of course not. But I do believe that security will become more and more important in this country.
Yeah, I agree. I think so, and I think as certain services are privatised, and we see security doing the jobs of what I used to see police doing a while ago. I was just talking to someone about custody today. If the police were in those job roles, they would have PPE, they would have risk reduction measures in the form of batons and sprays and things. There's a lot of security companies out there that take these roles on and just don't do it. Do you think they're running the risk of prosecution?
Well, I think it's a question of time. There's no doubt about it. It's a question of time until you see managing directors of security companies having to argue their stand on PPE and personal safety in general in a court of law. There's no question about that. It's going to happen. I think if you look at America, I mean, if you don't look after your workforce, and something goes wrong, you're going to get sued into 100,000, into millions potentially. And we are living in a society, rightly or wrongly, irrelevant right now, but rightly or wrongly, we're living in a society in the UK where this becomes more and more common practice. And at some point, now more and more security companies will be sued for not having taken appropriate action. But the same you can say about the prison service. For me, that's much more a thorn in my eye, to be honest, than the private security industry. Because if you think, if you've got a real serious criminal being arrested, you've got 3-4 police vans with teams of 8, 9, 12 police officers, K9 units, and a chopper in the air, all part of the operation until this major criminal gets arrested. But the moment they put them into the prison, or they shut the door, for whatever reason, they must believe he's turning into an angel, because guess what? The very same guys, the guys who flick up the very same criminal are not allowed to wear PPE. That blows my mind.
Yeah, it's same with me. I do a lot of work with psychiatric hospitals.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've got someone who's tasered, and then they're cuffed, and then they say, hang on, this person is unwell. So they're not a criminal, they're unwell. So we need to go into a forensic hospital or a psychiatric hospital. Yeah. Well, the level of danger that person expresses isn't any different just because they're in a different room, is it?
Absolutely. And that's what I think, I hope this will change. At the moment, yes, you talk about Homeland Security agencies like police, Border Force, Immigration, Customs. Yes, they all wear body armor. And because they're all, and most of them hardly will ever get into this kind of real high-risk environment. If you look at airport, you go from airport, you go through passport control, you see Border Force, they check your passport, they're all wearing body armor. The chance of a major incident happening in that there, surrounded by a dozen other Border Force officers, is very small. A prison officer is going to in his white suit shirt, going to work, dealing with mass murderers every day. and he's
Yeah.
not being given any PPE. For me, that doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't matter
No.
how people argue that, it's just not a good idea. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think sometimes it's perception. People say, oh, we can't have them dressed like this because the public will perceive them as being aggressive. But body armour doesn't have to look aggressive or police style, does it? It can be in different colours.
Yeah, first of all, even that will be our responsibility from the manufacturer. We can make it in pink and orange and yellow, blue, whatever people's favorite colors are. We can do
Yes.
all of them. But the main argument, when the first body armor were issued in the UK in sort of late 70s of London and then ultimately in Manchester, now everybody would argue the same thing. But there's no physical evidence at all suggesting that the moment the first police officers were issued with body armor in London or Manchester, that the assault rate on police officers increased. So that didn't happen.
No.
There's nothing. It's just people's belief. They think and they believe, and there's no physical evidence in place to really say that is the case. There's nothing suggesting that if you give every police officer or every police officer body armor right now, that the assault rate on them will increase. There's no evidence for that at all. It's just people making that up.
Yeah. And it's got to be an evidence-driven approach. And like you say, people might want to just create something or wear something because, the rise and rise for me of the security officer's belt. It's like, what have you got on your belt? You've got gloves, you've got this, you've got a flashlight. Like, does that belt, is it the most effective way of doing it? Surely you can put some of those components on a stab vest in more strategic places. So it's like a bat utility belt that's completely useless. Putting holsters in different places and things like that. Now, one of the other things I want to talk to you about is it's not just corrections and security. Your range of Bike Pro equipment, where else might you find those garments?
Again, because we've got such an international market we're sort of dealing with. So the mental health care sector, the mental health means literally it's such a wide terminology for such a large market. And
yes.
So we talk about, as you already said, we're supplying the majority of high secure hospitals. So it means you've got Ashworth, Broadmoor, Runton, whatever they are at the end. But they exist all over the world. They might have different names, but also they exist everywhere. But then you go into any private mental health care. There are so many organizations in the UK and again overseas, private mental health care facilities, where individuals are now receiving 24/7 care. And some of them are dangerous, some of them are not at all. So they're not dangerous because they're bad human beings. Of course not. Nobody's even saying that. But it doesn't mean that they don't bite, for example. And that's what they do. And the same we've got in special education needs schools. People hate that. And it's such a sensitive subject. And I really, really get it. I genuinely get it from the bottom of my heart. I get it. But the fact is, we on the receiving end from letters literally every week, every fortnight, from teachers around the world saying, oh, I got bitten again. And the images, the photographs we have of injuries are horrendous. Well, we have got images of children literally biting not just the skin, but actually taking ligament and muscle out of a forearm. They're absolutely horrendous. So it doesn't mean the child's a bad child. Again, nobody's saying that. It's a completely different subject anyway. But you can't argue that this teacher hasn't got the right to do her job as safely as she or he can be. Can do it. So if there's something to help them to engage with the child in the same fashion and deliver the great service they're providing anyway, that's fine. But they must have the right to do it as safely as they can possibly do it. If we can help them, then great.
Yeah, and it's for me, it's for the residual risk. So it's not a primary thing.
No, I agree.
If we were that sure as we walked in the room they were going to bite us, the answer would be don't go in the room or use some kind of a partition. But at some point, these people that we've locked up that we're trying to get better, you're going to have to get them to take part in meaningful activities.
Yeah.
So they're going to need to interact with others. They might need to eat with others or travel.
Yeah.
And to write a risk assessment without some kind of PPE or protection, it's madness, because if it's happened before, the likelihood is it could happen again.
Yeah.
And I don't know about your experience of this. I think sometimes people say, "Oh, well, we'll just keep them in the room because every time we take them out, they try and assault somebody." Well, with some form of soft restraints or handcuffs, and then as a backup in case it goes wrong, some form of bite-resistant clothing. For me, there's no reason why anyone should be in long-term segregation from others for years on end.
I agree. Anything that can be done. And it's not just about my business. I feel the same way about any other business doing any kind of protective clothing or whatever that may be. It's anything that can help people to go to work and make make an honest living by working hard on providing for their family and their loved ones. Well, these people have got the right to be safe and to come home safely. And sometimes maybe there's nothing they can do. It may well be the case, not that I can think of any kind of example, but as long as there's something that can be done, either in their own action they take, or by controlling or by controlling the action of the patient or a service user or the member of the public, whoever it is, anything can be done for people to be safe at work. I think it needs to be done. It doesn't mean you need to rub people into bubble wrap. I've personally never been a health and safety fan. I like children to grow up being children, and I like that people to do the thing. And sometimes people take risks. It's a part of upbringing and it's part of society, I guess. But if people go to work, I do believe that they've got the right to be safe. It's that simple to me.
Yes, definitely. Well, Robert, it's been absolutely great having you on. I just wanted to literally get your views on PPE and talk to you about those things. Have you got anything else planned for the rest of the day?
No, not too much. Catch up with a little bit of work, but otherwise, maybe if you're lucky, enjoy a little bit of sunshine at the end. We'll see.
Excellent, brilliant. Well, it's been great talking to you, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon, Robert.
Excellent. Take care of yourself, and I'll catch you soon. Okay, bye-bye.
You too. Thanks, bye.